Just talking with Parker, I mean, I've been warning for over a decade that this was coming. The left wants to silence. I'm fine with liberals, okay? You can debate liberals, but the left wants to silence. They cannot defend their arguments and their positions, so they want to silence the opposition. I saw that coming and unfolding. I've been here at the Family Research Council for going on 19 years, and I began to see this. And so that's one of the reasons we actually started this daily radio program, I think about 9 years ago. And now we've moved it into television, and we're going to continue to expand. But I've been warning pastors the same thing. Because someone would say, oh, no, it's just you're political. That's why you're being silent. You're talking about political issues. I'm talking about moral, spiritual issues. Well, we're now seeing that the Bible itself, we were talking about what happened in Finland, that court case there. With Pavi on Monday, tweeting a Bible verse. Well, don't think that this attack on the Bible and the gospel is only in far off places. It's happening all around us. It's happening in Canada. Now it's happening here. We've been talking about this on the program, how biblical counseling, when it runs afoul of political correctness and the left's their view of human sexuality and everything they want to protect, they realize they cannot defend what they're promoting, and so they have to silence the opposition. And that includes silencing pastors who want to help people come out of destructive lifestyles. Joining me now to talk more about this, David Closson, who is the director of FRC Center for Biblical Worldview. David, welcome back to the program.
Great to be with you, Tony.
All right, I want to talk about two things in particular because these are not theoretical, they're very real. At the first of this year, Canada adopted a new law, C4. And, in the military, I used to work with C4, plastic explosive. This is an explosive law because it blows up, really, the opportunity for pastors, Christians, to speak truth into human sexuality. Tell us about it.
Oh, it really does, Tony. And over the last couple of years, I've been on your show dozens and dozens of times. We've talked about a lot of important issues. I can't think of a more important issue to talk about than this issue of counseling bans. The media talks about these as conversion therapy bans. These are simply counseling bans, but you're right. On January 7th, a bill known as C4 was enacted into law in Canada that criminalizes what they call conversion therapy. But if you read the law, which I have in front of me, they define that really broadly to include any practice, treatment, or service designed to change a person's sexual orientation, gender identity, to reduce or repress a person's non-cisgender identity. What this is doing, Tony, is criminalizing Christian sexual ethics. And I think you've talked about this, but what's astounding to me, I had to pick my jaw off the floor, but actually in the bill, the text of the bill, it equates any beliefs or any views or any opinions that disagrees with the moral revolution, they equate them to myths and stereotypes. That's actually in the text of the bill. So Christian sexual ethics, just basic Christian beliefs that Christians have held for 2,000 years, are now being criminalized in Canada and equated with myths and stereotypes.
Now, David, there is some question as to how this will be enforced because Canada has a Charter of Rights and Freedoms which specifically protects the freedom of thought, beliefs, opinion, and expression. But we know how this works. This is the first step, and you have those that will self-censor. They will silence themselves out of fear of running afoul of the government. So that's the first step. And then when this whole biblical idea of human sexuality falls out of disfavor with the public, that's when the government moves in and clamps down with force.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right, Tony. And we've seen it during the pandemic. The Canadian authorities have not been friendly to pastors and churches. Just a couple of days ago, I was in Fort Myers representing Family Research Council at the Founders Ministry Conference, and one of the plenary speakers who was supposed to be there is Pastor James Coates. He wasn't able to make it, but he was a pastor who just 6 months ago during the summer was thrown into jail. He was arrested because he refused to obey the public safety law that was put into place that told him that his church could not meet. So in Canada, they have already shown that they are not friendly to Christian theology, Christian beliefs, the belief that Christians ought to gather on the Lord's Day. And so you're right, this law will be weaponized by those who want to go after pastors. And this is a very concerning development.
David, we're about out of time, but this is for those who say, well, that's Canada. Well, it's here in the United States, these counseling bans. We've seen this has been introduced in West Lafayette, Indiana, the heartland. You've written about it. Where can people read your piece? Yeah,
I wrote about this, super important, because this goes after unlicensed folks rather than just professional counselors. But this appears at frc.org/worldview, where all our worldview resources are housed.
And this is a significant case because, as David points out, this is unlicensed counsel. This is churches in particular that are doing Bible-based counseling, not just on human sexuality, but finances, relationships, you name it. People need help with it, and they are there to help. But now the city coming after them because the homosexual community spurring them on to silence churches. David Closson, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony.